Hello, this is Stuart Fleming. Tonight we're going to be going over Execute with Parameters, which is a way of moving from one form to another form by selecting a certain record and then going to that other specific record in the other form. And it's very useful to be able to do this because you want to be able to select a department and then perhaps go over and see all the employees for that department. And this is something you would use quite often in developing. So tonight let's go over and look at how we do that. I have a department VO. It's based on department EO and employee EO, and all of the required associations and links are there, but I'm actually really not using them. I don't have any relationships in my application module. If we go to the application module, you'll just see that I've shuttled the department and employee VO over. If we look at the data control, you can see that in the operations section, there is no execute with params. It would be somewhere around here. And what we're going to do is actually add that. We're going to go over first to the view object, and we're going to very simply add the where clause to here with a hard-coded. I'm going to just copy the department ID just so I don't include any errors. P, and I need to do colon here, P underscore ID, and we'll copy this P underscore ID because we're lazy. And it's always nice to do test and explain, even though you may not need it. Now, if I go back here, I'm just going to show you quickly. Again, it's not there, but when we put this in, PID, I'm going to put it in as, I'll leave it as we can put it as a number. It might work better as a string. We're going to leave it, and we're going to take the required off just for now, because I want to show you something. Okay, so now we have the operations here, and scroll. Oh, where's the operations here? Let's refresh that. There it is. Execute with params exists now. And actually, even if you remove it from the where clause here, it will exist, even though once you run the where clause, it won't really run anything because it's just going to look at all of the data. Now, I took off the required, and I want to show you what happens when you take off the required, because it is a very painful little error that you get, and there isn't much on the internet to find it. I happened to look at the blog that was done by Andre, actually the application that was done by Andre, and was able to figure it out. Now here you get an error, and you can actually see it's a SQL error during statement and details. It's missing the in-out parameter, whatever that means. So let's go in and simply make this required and rerun that. And you'll see that it now gives you a pop-up once you try to run the employee, where you can then enter in the PID. And we're waiting. There we go. And now you can put in the enter in the value, and you'll get data. Okay, so then we can go to every single record here, and it's no problem. So we're going to do the same thing on the form. Okay, I have the ADFC config file here, and what I've done is I've created a view and another view here. We have the control flow going to the going to the employees, where you can look at all of the employees for a specific department, and then a button that would go back. All right, let's go over here first because we need to put the button in here. We don't want to forget it. Command button, we'll just say back, and it's as simple as selecting that, pressing save. Now let's go over to departments. What we're going to do is we're going to drag this over, You can put it anywhere, really. Now, I could choose an ADF parameter form, but, oh, excuse me, I have to do this. We're going to copy this value because we're going to use that. Now we drag it again, and we're going to just place it in as a button. We could do it as a parameter form, but that would give us two fields, one field, an input field, and the other the button. But really what we want is just the button because we're going to set that. And I'm going to just copy and paste this value in there. Okay, so it's going to take the department ID input value and place it in there. Save. Okay, and I'm going to just show you, if you do not do that, what you can do is going to go over to the bindings, click on the execute with params, come down here, look at the PID, and then do that. Copy it in here. We saved ourselves some little time, and just for giggles, we'll go over here and look at where you can get it from. So department ID, and you don't get just that, you have to get the input value. So basically the same thing. Okay, so we have that now, and we also need to set the button on the form. So not only does it set the execute with params, but it also goes to the imp table. And now we can run that and see how it goes. Okay, we've got our department ID here. We can scroll through. I'm going to go to a record that I know has some people in it. We go to the execute with params, and we click it, and we go to that, and we get a department ID of 10. Then we go to the next one, and we get the marketing ID of 20, and there they are. So that's how do we do it. So let's quickly review. Okay, first of all, you're going to have a standard employee VO, and you're going to place this in there. And then you have to create the bind variable. With the bind variable, you have to make sure it's required. I assume updatable also. It could be a number. I suppose a string could work too. And then you basically just drag the execute with param onto the screen. Okay, and then once you have that, you have to make sure, excuse me, let's go over to the bindings here. You have to make sure that the PID ID has the value from here. Well, this is the first video of several that I want to do. The next one was going to tackle some working with when you have the employees inside a task flow, and you're going from the departments into a task flow, and you're going to be sending that data over as a parameter. Thank you very much. I hope this was helpful. Have a good evening.